From Launch Complex 39 at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, this is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 3 hours, 22 seconds and counting. We're now entering the final 6 hours of the countdown for the launch of Space Shuttle Columbia on mission STS-109, the fourth Hubble Space Telescope servicing mission. We're standing by now to go into a 2-hour built-in hold in 3, 2, 1, T-minus 3 hours and holding. This is a planned 2-hour built-in hold. And at this time, the closeout crew is now heading toward the launch pad in preparation for the astronauts' arrival. And the final inspection team is also entering the launch pad area so that they can begin their ice inspections. Our commander, Scott Altman. Mission specialist, Nancy Curry. Our payload commander, John Grunsfeld. And Rick Linehan, mission specialist Rick Linehan. And after they have their light snack, they'll be going to the suit-up room. They'll have a brief check on the countdown status and the weather. Here's the mission STS-109 cake with the mission emblem. They'll be going out to the launch pad about 2:40 a.m. Commander Scott Altman. That's our pilot, Dwayne Carey, making his first flight on STS-109. Rick Linehan, mission specialist number 3, making his third flight on STS-109. Mike Massimino, MS-5, making his first flight. John Grunsfeld, our payload commander, MS-1. Jim Newman, MS-4, his fourth flight on STS-109, also one of our EVA crew members. And here is Nancy Curry, our flight engineer, making her fourth flight, also our RMS operator. This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 2 hours, 54 minutes, 42 seconds and counting. The STS-109 flight crew now leaving the suit-up room on the way to the elevator for the ride down to the ground floor to board the astronaut transfer van, the Astrovan, for the 20-minute ride out to Launch Pad 39A. This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 2 hours, 34 minutes, 26 seconds and counting. We see the astronauts on the pad surface now, having just gotten off the Astrovan and heading for the fixed service structure. They took a brief look at the vehicle, walking over to the edge of the flame trench and looking up the stack. And they'll now ride the elevator up to the 195-foot level. And here they are now, arriving at the 195-foot level. They usually enjoy the view from up there before boarding. It's quite spectacular. They can see the entire Complex 39 area and all the way down to Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. And now we see our Commander Scott Altman preparing to board Columbia by members of the closeout crew. They'll be helping the astronauts with their helmets and the other equipment that they need to don before entering the orbiter. And of course we have 7 crew members to board. And after that there will be the communications checks with each of them in their seats, and then we'll close the orbiter access hatch at 4:48 a.m. is the nominal time for that this morning. But that can be done all the way up to an hour later if necessary, if there's some kind of a problem in the countdown. Commander now on board. He'll be assisted into his seat by astronaut Mike Foreman, who's on board the orbiter to help the crew get seated and do their final preparations before the hatch is closed.
And go ahead, Fred. Asses CPLE. Go ahead.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 2 hours, 23 minutes, 20 seconds and counting. And we're now seeing Mission Specialist number 5, Mike Massimino, making his first flight. He'll be doing 2 of the spacewalks on this mission. Crew's getting a little cleaning of their shoes before they go on board. The crew concomitant, they try to keep as clean as possible.
Payload retention, payload select switch, position 1.
Mike Massimino will be sitting on the mid-deck in the far right seat.
OTC, OVCC. Go ahead. MS5 on board at this time. MS5, copy.
And the closeout crew on board will also make sure that their suits are indeed ready for launch. They'll put the light sticks in their arms, as we see here, the one on Massimino's right arm. Mission Specialist number 2, Nancy Curry, who is the flight engineer and robotic arm operator on this mission, now preparing to board. She'll be sitting up on the flight deck in the aft center seat.
MS2 is on board at this time, and that is all crew members on board. Okay, copy that.
She operated the robotic arm to place Unity into position on the space station. And that was mated to Zarya on STS-109.
Verify ready for crew module closeout and ask OTC.
Columbia CDR launch director.
Launch director CDR, go ahead, sir.
Okay, Scott, well, it'll be good to have Columbia back in flight status. So we wish you good luck on this very important mission to the Hubble Space Telescope, and y'all have fun up there.
And Launch Director Mike, we really appreciate that. I just want to say thanks to the whole team that's gotten all of our Hubble equipment ready to go, and the whole team from basically from one side of the country to the other that's worked so hard to get Columbia ready to roar again. Hubble's up there ready for us, and we're ready to go to work. Thank you all.
It's our pleasure, and y'all have a great flight.
The countdown clock will resume on my mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark.
T-minus 9 minutes and counting.
TLS auto sequence has been initiated.
Ground launch sequencer now controlling. All functions between now and handoff to Columbia being controlled by this ground launch sequencer computer here in the firing room.
TLS's go full orbiter access arm retract.
Columbia OTC, good luck on your mission, allowing us to better glimpse our future by enhancing Hubble's view of the past.
Orbiter test conductor Jeff Laufer wishing the crew well. Gaseous oxygen vent hood now being retracted.
Okay, visors coming down, O2 coming on. To use a Navy term, let's launch it.
External tank now at flight pressure.
LH2 pressurization.
T-minus 1 minute. Solid rocket booster field joint heaters now being turned off.
20 seconds.
Firing chain is on.
15 seconds.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Columbia to broaden our view of the universe through the Hubble Space Telescope.
Houston now controlling the flight of Columbia, the Pioneer shuttle headed for the Hubble Space Telescope.
Program.
Roger, roll, Columbia.
Columbia into the roll, placing the shuttle in a heads down, wings level position for the 8.5 minute ride to orbit. 25 seconds into the flight, Columbia's 3 liquid fuel main engines now throttling back in a 3-step fashion to 72% of rated performance, reducing the stress on the shuttle as it breaks through the sound barrier. Already 2 miles in altitude, 1.5 miles downrange, leaving an incandescent trail behind it. Columbia headed for Hubble. Hubble almost directly over the Cape at this moment. 3 engines now throttling down, soon to throttle back up to 104% of rated performance. The main engines, along with the 3 fuel cells and 3 hydraulic power units, all functioning normally. Standing by.
Columbia, Houston, you are go at throttle up.
Then Columbia copies, go at throttle up.
That throttle up call from Capcom Mark Polanski, acknowledged by Commander Scott Altman aboard Columbia. Altman joined on the flight deck by pilot Dwayne Carey, flight engineer Nancy Curry, and mission specialist John Grunsfeld. Rick Lenahan, Jim Newman, and Mike Massimino seated down on the middeck. Columbia tracking right down the pike, 15 miles in altitude, 11.5 miles downrange, heading due east from the Kennedy Space Center for an altitude of 350 statute miles in pursuit of Hubble. 1 minute, 45 seconds into the flight, about 15 seconds prior to solid rocket booster separation. Standing by for SRB separation. Booster officer confirms a good SRB separation. Guidance now converging. Columbia's onboard computers commanding the main engine nozzles to gently swivel.
Columbia, Houston, 2-engine bend.
Houston, we copy. 2-engine Ben.
That call from Capcom Mark Polanski indicates that if one engine should fail right now, Columbia could make a transoceanic abort to Ben Guerir, Morocco. However, as it climbs into dawn, Columbia right on the money, aiming the shuttle for a precise keyhole in space for main engine cutoff.
Thank you very much, but the thanks and the congratulations and the adulation goes to all of you. Well done. Outstanding effort. Unbelievable. Thank you. We have George Page, I think, would be exceptionally proud of the amazing accomplishment you all pulled off this morning. And certainly his legacy and that all of you will continue to pass along will certainly stand in this great historic tradition. Well done. I have three very distinguished guests here with me this morning who have all been stunned by the amazing feat that you pull off in each and every time, but again witnessed this morning. First and foremost is Rear Admiral John Stufflebeam, who you probably see on TV a fair amount. He's the guy that does the daily explanation of the efforts in Afghanistan and all we're doing there during the course of the continuing efforts to deal with the terrorist attacks there. Dr. John Marburger, who is the President Bush's science advisor, is here to join us as well. And my good friend Admiral Skip Bowman, who is the current guardian of the Rickover legacy of the Navy nuclear program, is here to observe and realize that the parallels of what he does and what we do are exactly the same. And so in that regard, I think all three gents have had an opportunity here to see what an amazing job you all do each and every time. But for me, as my first launch, this was a truly special moment. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Scooter, what we've been looking at with that is that it appears that we have a possible restricted flow somewhere in the system on loop 1, and right now there are no impacts to the mission at all. However, we just want to give you a heads up. ECOM is taking a hard look, and we'll be monitoring the performance over the next day or so to come up with a good game plan and an understanding of exactly what's going to be affected, if anything.
Okay, we copy that. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help troubleshoot.
We'll certainly do that, Scooter.
This is Mission Control Houston. That discussion between Capcom Mark Polanski here in Mission Control and Commander Scott Altman on board Columbia, having to do with a message that was received on board the orbiter a short time ago regarding a somewhat reduced flow of Freon through one of two Freon loops that exist in the radiators on the payload bay doors of the orbiter. In this case, Freon loop number 1, which is on the port or left side radiator of Columbia, has exhibited a slightly reduced flow. No impact to mission operations at this point. The flight control team, particularly the environmental systems officer here in Mission Control, will be carefully watching the operation of that Freon loop during the course of the next several days to see what its characteristics are.
Columbia, Houston, we see your happy faces on board and we're ready for the downlink.
Okay, we just wanted to say hello, let you see our happy faces, and here comes the downlink.